You are a freshly cut pineapple with straight posture. I appreciate you. This is a crypto strategy portfolio update from your friend Somi. And I want to remind you, this is regarding the Richard Heart ecosystem. There is Pulse, there is PulseX, there is eHEX and bTC. All of them are real DeFi. Ratio trading is not the path to riches, but it is something I like doing because I understand it. Just because I got something right in the past doesn't mean I'm going to get it right again. I've made a move. What was my old portfolio like? I used to be stacked heavier to eHEX and then bTC. Why? It was because I thought they were significantly undervalued. But now, using the ratios, I'm going to show you that we are nearing extreme zones for Pulse and PulseX. Okay? These are not guarantees. You are looking at a chart here. Pulse on the top and HEX on the bottom. Now, this is going to be very controversial. Why? It's because everybody charts it the other way. Everybody does not click the triple dots of friendship up the very top. I'm going to show you right now. I have clicked on here and inverted it. When you go to the HEX PLS pair, everybody charts HEX on top. Why? They believe it's the gung ho, the type of firecracker that's going to save everything and push us up to the world. Yes, I hope that too. But I am seeing Pulse to HEX as the same proxy that ETH to BTC is. So that's where all this comes from. I've made many videos that you like, subscribe, belly button on all to, and you appreciate the algorithm to be shocked with a pumpamental tune. This is ETH BTC. I've made videos on this, all right? I've got to explain this to you, friends, okay? ETH BTC. So ETH over BTC, which is layer 1 over store of value. Some might say this can be also written as Pulse to HEX. Do you understand it? Let's write it down so you can see it. We've got to see it clearly. This is something crazy. Who discovered it? Me. Nobody else is showing you this. Look at this. Pulse and HEX. What's fascinating is that the market cap valuation of Ethereum against Bitcoin, that percentage, I think it's about 30% now. It is roughly the same ratio that Pulse is to HEX. Even though Ethereum people are not Pulse people and Bitcoin people are not HEX people, very far apart. Isn't it amazing to see that the market, the mind of the market, the wisdom of the masses has coincidentally, magically priced them together? That's wild to see. We can go to gopulse.com. Pulse up here is 1 billion market cap. And if you go to HEX, you have 1.27. And I think if you add eHEX, it might be like 0.7. So it's just crazy to see that the ratios are roughly in line together. They're not wildly out. So it'll be like 1 divided by 2.2, might be like 45%. It's just crazy that these things work out together. So because they're more volatile, they're not going to be exact to the integer. But it's fascinating to me that how did these people, completely different subset, don't know what's going on, barely wearing pants, doing handstands, drinking orange juice, 3 ice cubes. How did the ratios match up together such that the size of the layer 1 is relative to the size of the store of value in both instances? And so what can we do with this information? Well, I've made a portfolio adjustment. I like this. I liked seeing this. So what I've done is, okay, this is another way to rewrite the chart. This is Pulse over HEX, okay? So many people think that HEX will keep rallying into glory forever. It's interesting to see that ETH BTC has been going down at the same time that Pulse to HEX has been going down. That's weird, isn't it? It's weird that both HEX and Bitcoin, the stores of value, were strong on the recovery first for their respective ecosystems. Something fascinating going on. So let's go to the actual portfolio ratio adjustment. So what I had before was 67%, used to be, this is the old one, 67%. I was stacked in eHEX and bTC, and then I had less Pulse and PulseX, about 33%, whatever it is. And a primary reason, a contributor to that was, if you look at the eHEX and pHEX ratio, we'll be able to see that eHEX was getting absolutely destroyed. If you put it on a daily chart, everyone was laughing. Go back, all my videos, there's influencers, Twitter comments, Telegram messages, death threats, 2 death threats, friends. I got 2 death threats down here, literally. Shocking, bang, in your face. All right, it's not going to 0. Now, this is when eHEX was cheap. And it took, look how much time it took, friends. Oh, yes, we're collecting and collecting and collecting and collecting. Look at that. That's 120 days. That's like 4 months. That's quite some time, right? But now something has happened. Now I've noticed, okay, we're in the 4th quarter. We're going into Bitcoin halvening gear. Maybe people are going to get a bit more risk savvy. Let's put the angel music again, by the way. People like to hunt risk. What are they going to be thinking when Bitcoin and Ethereum go up? Maybe they want to go into the shiny new object. This is why my play is incorporating these. So what do I actually do here? I'm not telling you, please, listen to this. I don't want anybody to copy me. I don't want you to copy me. I'm just telling you this is what I've done. When I was starting, I wanted somebody to teach me. So I want somebody, hey, what are the ratios? What's going on? This or that. I learned all of this. I know all this. I'm here to tell you, okay? That's why you like to subscribe, bell button. I appreciate every single one of you. Shocking the algorithm, okay? So I've inverted it by default. I've actually done more. I'm not going to tell you exactly how much. I don't want anybody to like stalk or do anything, but minimum. If I was starting and my portfolio was set up one way, let's say I had a $10,000 portfolio and 6,700 was eHEX and pHEX and the other 3,300 was Pulse and PulseX, I would rotate. That's what I would do. I would just invert it. Now, this is what the new one would be. It would be 67% of the portfolio, obviously, would be Pulse and PulseX. Now, you're probably going to ask, do we do it in 50-50? Do we do it in 70-30? There is no right answer. Specifically, because PulseX to Pulse ratio, which I'm going to show you right now, it's actually just in the zone. It's just doing nothing. It's not mega cheap, and it's not expensive. So I feel more comfortable being 50-50. If it drops lower, if we get capitulated on PulseX even more, that's when it'll be, all right, it's time to literally go all in. Basically all in. You should never go all in, but that's pretty much nearly all in, okay? But right now, it's just in the, we're kind of holding zone. I also like the fact that PulseX's buy and burn has already chewed up 2.5% of the supply. So let's run through this. What's your downside? You lose everything. All right, I'm telling you right now, your downside is you lose everything, friends. If only I could tell you and show you all the abuse I got down here every single day. Abuse, like over and over and over again. I just took it on the chin. I don't really care. I don't care. I know what I'm doing. All right. Now, just to let you know, just because I got this one right, it does not mean I'm going to get the next one right. I flipped the coin. It got heads. I'm going to flip a coin again. Is it going to be heads again? I don't know. I want to tell you as well. Even if it doesn't work for 5 to 6 months, I'm still holding, but many people will capitulate. Many people gave up on the bottom here. You're starting to get it, friends. Most of the time, you just literally got to do nothing at all, but people are their own worst enemy. So the downside is Pulse and PulseX goes to 0. Surprise, surprise. The upside, you make plus 100% more HEX. So this is not USD. This is not making more USD. You're going to win no matter what if it goes up in US dollar. These are the ratios. Think of this as a way, if you're right on the trade, you make way more yield than even the longest T-share stakers. That's another way to think about it. And it's liquid, so you can play around with it. So that's one advantage. Now, I'm not saying do not EES. Do not, that's EES, stands for emergency end stake. Do not do any of that. I'm going to show you the ratios here. So this is the actual Pulse to HEX chart. Okay, so the one I drew here. Now, I don't like going to the absolute bottom tick and go, oh, wow, if I buy the bottom, sell the top, wow, I'll make up here. I don't like doing that. This is what I like doing. I like going to a trash price and say, okay, if my average trash price entry is here, where do I think I can sell? Maybe around here one day. That's what I'm just guessing. Just guessing. Not financial advice. Go speak to one. From here to here. So I have from here to here. And yeah, it might take that long. Who knows? Okay. That distance is plus 100%. Another way to think of it is at this dot, if you had 1 million PHEX and you converted it to Pulse, when you reach the target and you sell your Pulse, you can get 2 million PHEX. So you've turned 1 million into 2 million. That's a trade. It is shorter term. It carries risk. I'm just going to remind you, friends, if anyone dares to cry to me that this thing keeps going down and down, oh, it's not working, it's not working. Okay, actually, you know what? I'll take that back. Please cry to me more, because I know now I got to go super, super, super mega hard. Mega eggplant emoji hard, okay? We're going to pump it up. Now I've noticed the death threats come. It's time to go all in. When did the death threats come for me? Imagine going all in down here, literally eHEX. Okay, so it worked. It worked down there. Now, this, we don't know how long it's going to take to play out. I've got to remind you as well. What are we going off? Okay, Pulse and PulseX, cycle 1 coins. eHEX and PHEX, cycle 2 coins. People say PHEX is a cycle 1 coin. It's the same community. It's the same trauma, PTSD. It's the same memory. It's the same remembrances from the previous cycle, okay? Now, I hope I'm wrong. I hope PHEX goes to $3 for everyone. I really do. But, you know, going off this, being the same community and the same people, we just have to deal with reality. I've got to warn you as well, okay? Warning, of course. If you lose this, if you lose doing anything, so if you literally do any action, you got to remember it's your own fault. You click the button, you take the risk, you're responsible for all losses. Many people abused me. They sent death threats. They capitulated their eHEX at the lows, and now they have 30% smaller bag size already. Now they got to pray eHEX gets dumped by giant whales, maybe Alex the eHEX whale, maybe BankX. They're praying that they dump it back down to 0 so they can rotate it in. That's the world that they live in. Got to remind you, again, please, this is how you know I love you. Just because I got something right before does not mean I'm going to get this one right. Okay, don't go all in. This is like a macro shift. Takes a while out. Don't go with all your size. If I was to start again, I would tell someone, okay, well, you're not that experienced. You're not that comfortable. All right, well, stake most of your HEX. Play around with a bit of this. That's it. Because let's say, for example, let's say someone had 1 million HEX. Just for an example. Maybe they've staked 800,000. And maybe they're like, you know what? I want to play this with 200,000. Well, if this works, your 200,000 will get an extra 200,000. Now you've got 400,000 total at the target in 6 to 9 months. You might say, hey man, like, I wonder if I can multiply this HEX even more. You know, maybe you pay yourself, you replenish your stack, you go, oh, there's other projects, maybe there's other ratios going on. Maybe you just get out in a HEX because you think the market's euphoric and you think the market's going to rotate back into HEX and Pulse and PulseX are going to be dunked on harder. That's another option you have. So this is a great way, if you don't panic, it's a great way to participate without destroying your US dollar appreciation because you're playing with ratios. But it is not a free lunch. I even have the zone here. Buy zone, I've also got ready to buy more and doesn't even go below that. Okay, that's 0. Okay, so now that we've gone through all of these, this is what I'm doing. You can do whatever you want. I don't care if it keeps going. Remember, I'm not all in. I still got everything. That's the most important part. Got to remind you as well, please don't go all in. Don't end any HEX stakes. Don't panic. Don't worry. The best thing you can do is actually spend fiat US dollars to buy crypto. That's actually the best thing you can do. It's not this ratio trading. Okay, maybe you made $2,000 for the month extra. Okay, put 1,500 into crypto. You go super hard. Don't do this ratio trading trash. This is not the first thing to do. People like playing around with it. Why? Because it means, oh, I get to like avoid putting money in. No. That's what you got to do. That's the way to kill it. Playing with ratios is inferior to adding fresh fiat. Inferior. I'm going to make a video explaining. It's exactly what you're watching right now. I've made this specifically for you. A few people also find it hard as well. I get asked, okay, what about PulseX to HEX? Don't complicate it. Don't complicate it at all, okay? This is the PulseX to HEX ratio. It's the same thing. Because PulseX has been dumped, yes, it's actually, if it recovers, you don't get a plus 100%. You get plus a 160%, or even back to the top, plus 170%, right? So or maybe even higher because this chart isn't even the real full chart. Maybe it goes up even more. So Pulse to PulseX ratio seems to be in line. I don't see a cause for concern of either. I think they're both great. You don't need to worry about it. I don't want to take any chances though. I'm not betting on this PulseX to Pulse ratio. Okay, so in my, let's go back for you here. So in my dealings, I'm not super stacked one. Okay, I just have half and half, roughly, you know, because different yield farms, who cares? I wouldn't go say, I know I get asked this all the time. Pulse or PulseX? No. How about Pulse and PulseX? Please listen to this. When you are all in, if you get it wrong, you are wrecked beyond imagination. Think of the people who got out all their eHEX down here, okay? They're wrecked, okay? They're wrecked. They have lost 37% of their stack. That's right, 37%. They've lost it. They can't get it back in now. They physically and possibly can't get it back in. So on the PulseX to Pulse ratio, if you said, hey, I think Pulse is going to kill PulseX from here. All right. If you're wrong and we go up, well, guess what? Look what happens here. You have lost 35% again. Now, it might probably rotate again, but there's no guarantees. But at that point, you're going to feel like an idiot. But if you had half and half, when we get to the extreme premium point, you can change your allocation. You go, wait a minute, you know, I had more PulseX, but now I think it's a bit expensive. Let me, instead of 50-50, let's do like 70% Pulse, 30% PulseX, right? At least you get the option to play around if the ecosystem starts stretching out the ratios. Most likely they won't. There's liquidity bonding, psychological bonding, everybody's friendship bonding. I don't think it's going to happen, but you never know. Look what happened with eHEX and pHEX. So just to recap, new ratio. If I was coming in today, right now, based off these prices, and to clarify, it's because Pulse versus HEX is low, okay? If I was to come in, I remember, you can't go wrong doing a third everywhere. You can't go wrong. But if I wanted a bit more exposure, I'd have 2/3 Pulse and PulseX, 1/3 eHEX and pHEX, okay? Now, I'm just going to refute some points that always appear every single time we do this, and it's regarding HEX. So people will always say, HEX, greatest store of value. I'll say, okay, yes, it's great. They'll also say, it's going to outperform Pulse and PulseX. Well, I think that's a very dangerous claim to bet everything on, because Pulse and PulseX are unproven. And you might say, oh my gosh, what do you mean they're unproven? Say, yes, friends. More angel music for you. They're unproven. So the weak hands are not in. The emotional money is not in. People who want something to be proven first, they are on the sidelines. If Pulse and PulseX are able to prove themselves, now you've got premium pricing attached. That's how you know it's not here. Just like how there are some people who wanted to wait until Ethereum does its smart contract layers and layer 2s and the merge and stuff. Look what price you're buying it. You're buying it at ETH BTC 0.05. But if you just took the chance at the start, instead of 0.05, you could get 0.005. 10x lower. Look at this. So if you were able to convert your Bitcoin here, you'd have 10x more Bitcoin compared to today's price. So I want you to make sure you are paying attention to the ratio here, because this is Pulse to HEX. This is the actual PulseX is live, watching this chart now. I think, this is just me, I don't mind buying it anywhere here. If it goes lower, so be it. I'll keep getting, give it to me. Give it to me, friends. Give it to me. You saw what happened in the past 4 months. Every time eHEX and pHEX went down, I kept saying, sweet, I'll take more. It sucks. It is what it is. I guess I'll take more. I copped exponentially more abuse. Okay, so you can't go off the crowd. No one knows what they're doing. They have absolutely no idea what they're doing. The mind of the market, though, the collective mindset with the pricing and the mechanism, how everything works, it ends up sorting itself out. What would most people be doing now in this situation, though? They are looking at this chart, the one I showed you. This is a common chart. This is a chart everybody has. This is the chart that all of Richard Hart ecosystem basically is posting. This is HEX on Pulse, okay? HEX on Pulse. This is like saying Bitcoin over Ethereum. I don't like doing that just because I like looking at ETH BTC. And my theory, don't know if it's going to be right. Don't really care because we're exposed to the ecosystem pretty much enough as it is. But my guess, speculation was that as the bull market heats up, as Bitcoin goes 40, 50K, as Ethereum goes $3,000 plus, as people want more risk appetite, I think Pulse would be what they go for when they want to hunt risk more than HEX. It doesn't mean they're going to ignore them all or ignore HEX completely. It just means that it'll probably carry a bit thinner offers. People wanting, having a bit more emotional type of reaction to getting in to Pulse. And so, okay, the most common pattern you'll see is a lot of people believe, you know, that this just keeps trending up and just HEX is the greatest store of value to do that. To just do this like infinite up only pattern. Yeah, I like the idea of HEX going up infinitely. I do like that. Except it didn't happen with ETH BTC. Okay, because just be intellectually honest with yourself. Bitcoin, pure money, Bitcoin monetary premium, Bitcoin, the original crypto blockchain, the genesis, everything that started it, has the Roca Negra ETF, has all of these things going for it. It is the store of value. A country has adopted it. Is Bitcoin going up only against Ethereum? No, it's not. No, it's not. In fact, it's doing the opposite. This is the BTC ETH chart. BTC over ETH. This is actually what it looks like. Okay, now I can actually put it on log chart just to show you. That's what it looks like. It looks like, you know, this is up here. Look at this. See that number, 500 on the right-hand side? One Bitcoin used to get you 500 Ethereum. And now one Bitcoin only gets you 19 Ethereum. Maybe one day one Bitcoin only gets you 10 Ethereum like it did at one point. Isn't that crazy? So the store of value, it's a long-term savings vehicle, but it's not able to break the parabola. It's just more like a steady train that keeps going. Another way to think about it is if you're stuck, you don't know what to do, you made money in the ecosystem, maybe Pulse Chain has some euphoric moments with the whole ecosystem, maybe there's meme coins and other stuff going on in 2024. Maybe you feel like, you know what, you like earning yield on your HEX, get your HEX, that's okay. Okay, so this is just my trade I'm doing. There's plenty of ways to do these, and there isn't one right answer. You know, Wallet DO1, I remember this is HEX and PulseX. This is pHEX to PulseX. He removed a lot. He's dumped a lot of PulseX to buy pHEX. And this is a chart that basically what he's bought the tops of these. I don't know if it continues. I hope HEX keeps continuing, friends, but I've just positioned for this. If it keeps disconnecting, I'm happy to let it go and keep collecting. Because at the end of the day, I don't think one of them fails and one of them succeeds anyway. Don't forget, you've got to make the decision. We're just drawing squiggly lines on the chart. Make sure you get pumped up, friends. I appreciate every single one of you. That's my portfolio change. I'll probably remind you of a few ones in the future as well about what goes on. And, you know, at the end of the day, the difference between this, it might not be that big at the end of it, but it matters. It can matter. For example, if we get from this buy zone to this red zone, that's a plus 100% move for Pulse. What could do this? Well, it could be such that HEX went 10x and then Pulse went 20x. Okay? That's one way to get there. And because Pulse went 20x, this ratio went like this. That's another way to think about it. Okay? We're going to speak more about it later on. Don't you worry. Make sure you like, subscribe, belly button. I appreciate every single one of you. Catch you soon.